Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating piece of tech from the spot-on encryption suite. It's called Prison Blues, and it's clever. So let's start with a wild idea. What if you could send a secret message, but instead of looking like a locked box, it just looked like boring, everyday computer code? What if you could hide a conversation where no one would even think to look for one? And that's the whole philosophy right there. We're going to be exploring a system designed to do exactly that. It's all about hiding your private chats right out in the open, where they can just blend into the background noise of the internet. All right, so first things first, what exactly is this system, and how in the world does it manage to turn computer code into a secret conversation? Okay, at its core, Prison Blues is a super ingenious method for sending your encrypted messages by disguising them as totally normal updates to a software project. It basically piggybacks on the exact same tools that software developers use every single day. Now, to really wrap your head around how this works, we first need to talk about what a GIT server is normally for. And chances are you've used stuff built with Git dozens of times today without even realizing it. Just think of it like a giant shared digital library, but for computer code. Developers can check out a project to work on it, they make their changes, and then they check in their new version so everyone else on the team can see it and use it. It's all about teamwork and keeping track of changes. So yeah, the normal process is totally built for open collaboration. Every single commit or update gets logged and is visible to the whole team. The system is designed from the ground up to be transparent. But this is where Prison Blues gets really clever. It takes the system that's all about being open and collaborative and completely flips it on its head. It turns that server into a secret Dropbox, a covert digital post office, where your encrypted messages get passed back and forth, disguised as totally harmless code updates. Now, this isn't exactly a one-click install. It takes a bit of technical setup. You need a Unix-like environment to run some scripts, you've got to configure your JIT identity, and, this is key, you have to set up special accounts on the server to lock down the project so that only you and your intended recipients can get to it. What's really interesting is that Prison Blues isn't just one single tool. It's actually split into two separate modules, and they each have a very specific job to do. You've got chat, and you've got Rosetta. So there's a really clear division of labor here. The chat module, well, it does what it says on the tin. It handles your direct messages. But the Rosetta module, that's where the real heavy lifting happens. It manages things like GPG attachments, which is a standard way to encrypt files, and it can also share key bundles and send signed status updates. So this makes Prison Blues way more than just a secret chat app. It's a pretty robust, secure communication utility. Okay, so we've seen what it is, we've seen how it's put together, but what can you actually do with this thing? And just as important, what can't you do? You get some really strong features for sure. Things like the Socialist Millionaire Protocol, that's a cool way to prove who you are without actually revealing your password. And the Rosetta module gives you a whole suite of GPG functions. But, and this is a big but, it's not a complete replacement for other tools. The documentation is crystal clear that features like calling or the human proxy system are just not supported here. And this right here, this quote from the source material, is absolutely crucial. This is not a self-contained system for, meeting someone securely for the very first time. You have to already have another secure way to talk to them to exchange your initial credentials. Prison Blues is for continuing a secure conversation, not for starting one cold. As you might guess with an approach this unconventional, there are definitely a few quirks and hurdles to get over, especially if you happen to be a Windows user. So the biggest challenge, and the documentation points this out, is that the whole system relies on something called Bourne shell scripting. That's totally native to systems like Linux and macOS, but it is not native to Windows. And that creates a pretty fundamental compatibility problem. But there is a solution, and honestly, it's a pretty creative one. The official workaround is to use a second Unix-like device, something as cheap and simple as a Raspberry Pi, to act as a kind of bridge. You set up all the core Prison Blues stuff on the Pi, and then you just connect your Windows machine to it. I mean, think about that for a second. It just goes to show you the level of dedication that's needed for this kind of high-security, low-visibility communication. You're basically building your own personal, dedicated relay server just to bridge the gap between two different operating systems. And that kind of leaves us with a final really provocative thought. In a world where it feels like everything is being monitored, maybe true privacy isn't about becoming invisible. Maybe the ultimate form of security is to just hide in plain sight. To look so ordinary, so mundane, that no one ever bothers to look twice.